You have gone back and looked at things with such a clear eye. You've apologized, you've asked for forgiveness, except on Tawana Brawley. I don't get it.
I'll be honest with you. I have thought about that a million times. I just don't believe they treated that case fair.
If I knew that I had in any way contributed to falsely accusing someone, I think I would feel an obligation to say I'm sorry.
I think you're right. I think the operative word is if you knew that. I don't know that.
If they didn't do
But
it,
but suppose they did. Suppose they did.
But they didn't.
Welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. We have a lot to go over with Reverend Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton, that's right. The Notorious. Well, he's known for being a race baiter, but we're going to get into some historical stuff. You are not going to want to miss it. This gets really, really good. Before we get into it, don't forget to smash that like button, comment, share, subscribe to my channel, hit that all notification so that you're always alerted of when I post a new video. Watch the video to the end. So you guys are familiar with Reverend Al Sharpton. Let me just clarify something. The man has no theological degree. He has no degree of any kind from what I've read, that both of his degrees are honorary. So one is from Bethune-Cookman and Virginia Union University. So these are honorary degrees. Just thought I'd throw that out there. But he's been around a very, 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 very long time. I mean, I remember him from way back in the day. And he's always at the forefront of these cases where it seems like a white person unalives a black person for whatever reason. And you know, he's gonna have to pull out that race card, right? But we're gonna go through some things historically with Reverend Al. Let me just say here, now in this clip right here, this is about Tawana Brawley. This happened back, I believe, in 1987, where this woman, she happened to have been black. Well, she was a young girl at the time, 15 years old. She claimed that a group of white men raped her. She accused them of raping. Even a DA was among those that she accused. And she came home the next day with burns on her, racial slurs, and things of that nature. And if you guys know anything about that case, it was not what she was portraying. And here is a little clip that I'm going to share with you.
Their outrageous, irresponsible acts have increased the atmosphere of tension between the races.
I think that people have to advocate what they believe in. I have friends right now that believe O.J. Simpson is guilty right now. And a jury said he's not. Does that mean that I think they don't have credibility? That means that I think that they have a belief that I don't share, and a jury didn't share. A grand jury did not believe Ms. Brawley. I believe there was reason to pursue.
Now that's just a little bit of clip right there. See, Al Sharpton got involved with this Tawana Brawley thing because he is what I believe to be a grifter. Okay, he is a race, in my opinion. This is not fact. Just my, well, it might be, well, it's factual. In my opinion, this is a race baiting grifter. All right, race baiting grifter, Al Sharpton, that's who he is, in my opinion. We're all allowed to have opinions, right? You know, they get on TV every day and bash Donald Trump, calling him a this and a that. But this man, talking about Al Sharpton, has been around for decades, stoking the flames of racial division. Anytime something happens, oh, it has to be because of racism. What it turned out to be in that Tawana Brawley case was a young woman who was afraid of being punished because she wanted to stay out all night, and she orchestrated this whole thing. And you heard Al Sharpton right there say that the grand jury found that she was not telling the truth. And then, you know, you heard the man earlier saying stoking the flames of racism, getting the racists to be upset with each other. And that's what the people on the left do. Anytime, I'm telling you, they never bring up all the black on black crime, which is probably 90% of the crimes that black people suffer at the hands of another black person. But oh no, they don't talk about that. They don't mention that. They only bring up the time when it's a white person and a black person, like in the case of Daniel Penny and Jordan Neely most recently. And this whole Tawana Brawley thing, I don't really remember it. Vaguely, I remember the name, but this thing was hit national news. It was everywhere because she's a black woman who claimed a gang of white men raped her. And you also, and I'm not saying that, you know, anybody black can't get raped by somebody who's another ethnicity. I'm not saying that at all. We should look at every case individually and not make any kind of assumptions. We have to wait until all the evidence comes in. But to automatically take up the side of one person when you don't have all the evidence because you're stirring up and you're getting benefit and attention of all of this is wrong. And that's what the chief grifter, race grifter, Al Sharpton did. This is an article that's dated August 5th of 2013. Here is Reverend Al Sharpton. I would say Al Sharpton. I'm not going to put Reverend in front of it. He's to the left, and he looks a lot different than he does right now because he used to be extremely overweight. He had this thick, pressed out hair like a woman. And here's Tawana Brawley in the middle. And this picture was taken in 1990. After 26 years, Tawana Brawley has finally begun paying damages to Stephen Pagonis, a man she falsely accused of being among a group of men who raped her in 1987. Brawley's payment comes in the form of nearly $3,800 in wage garnishments. Pagonis told CNN Sunday Brawley still owes Pagonis more than $400,000 in defamation damages. All right, so this was something that was proven, according to the grand jury at the time, that she was lying. And it had across newspapers a fat lie or a lie. She lied. Okay, and this reminds me of a case that happened with the Duke lacrosse players as well. That woman came out and said she did it for attention. She was a stripper. Remember that? I did a video on that recently. So, you know, every time a woman comes out, and, you know, I'm just thinking about this E. Jean Carroll thing and Stormy Daniels and all this other stuff. It's a lot of false accusations flying out there. And women that do that are to be ashamed because there are women who legitimately that happens to them and they should not be seen as a liar because these other women are lying. It's just absolutely disgusting. But this is Al Sharpton, Tawana Brawley in this picture right here. And this picture again was taken in 1990. She's paying this man, still owes him hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I would be remiss if I didn't show you this next clip. Al Sharpton is being interviewed, and they want to know why he didn't apologize for his mistakes in the Tawana Brawley case. And it looks like Al Sharpton probably has a history of doing things incorrectly and jumping to conclusions and stoking the flames of racism. He is a grifter, okay? According to everything I have seen and I've read through, Al Sharpton is a grifter. So if you want to know why I think that way, is because he lives a trail, a historical trail behind him of jumping to false conclusions. Check this out.
You have gone back and looked at things with such a clear eye. You've apologized, you've asked for forgiveness, except on Tawana Brawley. I don't get it.
I'll be honest with you. I have thought about that a million times. I just don't believe they treated that case fair.
If I knew that I had in any way contributed to falsely accusing someone, I think I would feel an obligation to say I'm sorry.
I think you're right. I think the operative word is if you knew that. I don't know that.
If they didn't do
But
it,
if, but suppose they
you're
did.
taking the,
Suppose they did.
but they didn't. They didn't.
CBS, 60 Minutes. And I like the woman for saying that, but they didn't. But they didn't. This was clearly with all the information and all the evidence that comes forth. And you guys, I got to just say, this just came to my mind right now. A lot of times in the media, they don't always show us everything. They don't show us everything. That's why a lot of times people get mad at the verdict, because the media, like the news media, the propaganda, the people that don't show us everything, they're biased and they're a talking point for the demon rats, because all they do is want to stoke up division anyway. I'm talking about the Democrat Party. They don't show us all the details. They give us what they want us to know, but the jury has the details. That's why the verdict is the way that it is, because we don't have access, or we're not privy to all of that information. So we have to remember, the media, according to a lot of people, they don't trust the mainstream or the lamestream or the propaganda media. They don't trust them. So that means when we get pieces of information here and there, it's not everything. And by the time the jury gets it, they have access to more information. Because I remember being upset in that George Zimmerman case. I was not happy about that. That was in my TDS years. Well, no, that wasn't TDS. That was in 2012. That was in my Obama. That was Obama, under Obama. But in any event, it's just amazing to me that they can actually do this, and it causes us to be mad at the other side, mad at white people or mad at black people, at each other like this. And that is definitely what the Democrats are good at doing, is causing racial unrest, causing division. That's what they do. They do it every single time. This is the party that when there's something that happens, instead of them saying a police officer unalived an unarmed teenager, they have to say a white police officer unalived a black unarmed teenager. What does their color have to do with it? And they leave out the part where the teenager was doing some things that should not have been doing. And I'm not saying black people are more criminal than others. I'm black and I've never done anything against the law other than go too fast when I'm driving. I need to work on that. I got a lead foot. Y'all pray for me. But in any event, it's just because a lot of homes are one-parent homes. Any home, whether it's black, Latino, Asian, whatever it is, white, whatever it is, if it is a one-parent home, mostly it will be the mother. Those kids tend to not do as well. They tend not to do as well. So, and that is a problem more so in the Black American community than any other community, bar none. About 80% of Black babies in America are born outside of wedlock, and it is causing a generational curse of poverty, and it is causing a reoccurrence of it happening repeatedly in that line of getting pregnant out of wedlock, depending on public assistance, depending on the handout. That's why we call it the Democrat plantation. It's just giving people enough to barely survive, but never thrive. Now, this reminds me of another case. Breonna Taylor. Remember, they made it seem like they barged in and just shot up the place and unalived Breonna Taylor. Really? Is that what really happened? Because the news a lie. Oh, they lie, they lie, they lie, they lie. Check this out. Okay, it says, this is from Matt Walsh. It states, and this happened back in 2020. Breonna Taylor's car was spotted at a drug house multiple times. Taylor was recorded talking about the drug house. An unalived body was found in a car rented by Taylor. Taylor's ex-boyfriend said she handled the money. They raided her apartment for a reason, folks. This was posted September 25th, 2020. All right, so again, the media wants to push this racist narrative. They will put a spin on it to make it look like Black people are being, I'm not saying there's not racism. I don't want anybody to say, Linda B, that yes, there is. But these cases right here, and most of the time it's not that. It's because of things that the people are doing. There was a reason. She was involved in some things, allegedly. I don't even know if what Matt Walsh put here is true. But I've heard things that have come out since then that was against the narrative that the media pushed out. And again, I'm not sure this is true, but it appears, because I know Matt Walsh really does his research and he digs deep, and it looks like there was a reason for them actually being there. And her boyfriend shot at the police officers first. Okay. We've got to stop making these people out to be martyrs and making them out to be victims, because a lot of times people are caught up in some nefarious stuff. Okay. And the media is out there pushing a narrative that should not be pushed. You can believe Al Sharpton was in on this as well. And I got to show y'all something else. That Al Sharpton, oh Lord, he got a history of doing things, real shady. Check it out. Okay. So this is an article, and I will put all these articles in the link as a link in the description. This was posted February 1st of 2024. This is in regards to menthol cigarettes. Yeah, you're like, Linda B, what does menthol cigarettes have to do with Al Sharpton? Well, it has plenty to do. Menthol cigarettes are heavily marketed to the Black community. So look at this ad here. Kent Menthol, the Together Smoke, or a beautiful Black couple looking happy. They got menthol cigarettes. If you guys know anything about menthol cigarettes, they're really more lethal than non-menthol cigarettes. That is correct. And they're heavily promoted in, of course, the Black community. All right. So it states in this article, not only is the minty cooling flavored tobacco most heavily marketed and consumed in Black communities, where over 80% of smokers use menthol. It is a big reason Black men face the highest rate of lung cancer, says Philip Gardner, a public health activist and co-chair of the African American Tobacco Control Leadership Council. And it says the minty cooling flavor of menthol masks the smoke and soothes the throat, making it easier to inhale deeply. The more deeply you inhale, the more nicotine and toxins you take in, and the more addicted you become, and the more lethal the product, Gardner says. That history is why efforts to ban menthol cigarettes and cigars have always been entwined with race. Menthol has become a flashpoint of controversy, dividing Black leaders and their communities. The Food and Drug Administration was set to enact a long-awaited ban on menthol cigarettes and cigars last August. The rule detailing the ban has already been written, but needed to be approved by the White House's Office of Management and Budget before it could be finalized. And it states here, it's ridiculous. Thousands of lives are being lost because of the inactivity of the FDA and now the White House, he says. Gardner says the delays are the result of the industry wielding its financial influence within the Black community. All right, let me just skip down here. One of the most vocal and influential voices against menthol bans is Al Sharpton. Sharpton and his group, National Action Network, did not respond to requests for comment, but in the past, they've acknowledged working with and receiving funding from tobacco companies, including in fighting in New York State, which has considered a menthol ban. Smoking is bad for you. Quote, smoking is bad for you, no question about it. But if it's a health issue, why aren't you banning all cigarettes? Sharpton says to a cheering crowd in a video from a speech at 2019 National Action Network event. Implied in a menthol ban, he says, is the notion that whites know how much to smoke, and we don't know how much to smoke. Now, it's already been stated that menthol cigarettes cause cancer at a much higher rate because of the menthol, making it so that people breathe in deeper and take in more toxins, causing them to get sicker quicker. But he was receiving funding. Okay, do I need to read that again? Okay, they've acknowledged working with and receiving funding from tobacco companies, including in fighting in New York State, which has considered a menthol ban. So they've been receiving funding from tobacco companies. See what I'm talking about? Grifter. These people don't care about black folks. They care about themselves. The only black person they care about is themselves, because clearly it states that menthol, and I've heard about menthol cigarettes before, that they cause more cancer. They're dangerous, more dangerous, because of how with the menthol causes people to breathe in deeper and become more addicted and get sicker quicker. So that is in the black community. And you saw this ad right here. I'm just going to show this ad again. Look at that. Okay, other things that are in the black community: liquor stores, Planned Parenthood, lots of things, drugs poured in. Do you think there's an intentional reason or behind that, or is it just coincidental? And when the illegals cross the border, which include these violent folks, they pour them into black neighborhoods as well. So it seems like, yeah, there's this thing of dumping all the bad stuff in the black communities. Yeah, that's what that looks like to me. It really, really does. Now, this last thing I'm going to show you now, Al Sharpton has been in some nefarious stuff, but this comes by way of HBO. I believe this was done back in it happened back in 1983, but it was aired in the early 2000s. And this is still out there, guys. But I'm going to turn up the volume on this so you can actually hear it. But you can also go back and search for it. This is actually Al Sharpton. And I showed you how he used to look. He was a lot heavier, that thick, relaxed or press out, whatever he had, like a woman. But this is something that happened in 1983. So this is something that happened on July 23rd, 2002. Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel aired a 1983 video showing Al Sharpton negotiating 10 kilograms of coke deal with undercover FBI agent Victor Quintana. Robert Currington said that Al Sharpton became a federal informant shortly after and partnered with ADL, and I believe that's the American Defamation League. Look at this. Why don't you?
For about 35,000 a kilo. But I gotta get, more than one. Right. I mean, we're gonna do this thing. No, you know what's a real. 10 kilograms is like $350,000. That's a drop in the bucket. We can go bigger. Every kilogram we bring in 3,500 kilos by this time. So if we bring in 10, you make 35,000. But that's a chicken pocket. He can. What he's going to do, he'll do what much they can do it. 100 times over. Might throw some higher 100 times over.
Now, that video is reportedly from 1983, and after it aired, Al Sharpton threatened to sue HBO for millions of dollars.
Well, looks like he's been in this business a very long time. Looks like the man was saying, you can get this amount of money. How's that sound? Al Sharpton is going, So, they got these black people out here, the Democrats do anyway, to keep other black folks subjugated to the Democrat Party and doing the very things that hurt our community. He's going to act like he's for us, but he was getting funding from the menthol cigarette company. He's also looked like he was doing something nefarious right here. And I don't know, well, it looks bad. Allegedly, he was involved in some bad stuff. I'm just going to say allegedly to cover my own behind. But what do you guys think? Is he a grifter? Al Sharpton, you grifter, you always in front of the TV, just stoking the flames of racism. Y'all watch it. Be very, very careful, warriors. Black folks don't get sucked into the lies because it's somebody black that they supposed to somehow care about us. White people, don't y'all dare start getting involved in stuff because you don't want to be called a bigot or a racist. That's why they do it, to guilt us into doing things, to make us not love each other. And we're only one race, the human race. But I wanted to show you guys about Al Sharpton because I was just like, this nut right here has been doing folks in for a very long time. And now Tawana Brawley has to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to this man who she allegedly falsely accused. And it looks like she actually did falsely accuse. And it just wasn't true. And you see how Al Sharpton acted in that 60 Minutes interview on CBS. He acted like he didn't know it wasn't true. Everybody else knew. All the other evidence, All a black woman got to say is this happened to me and somebody white did it, and everybody just jump on the bandwagon. Wait until all the evidence comes in. And you got other women out there too falsely accusing folks. E. Jean Carroll and Stormy Daniels. I'm gonna say allegedly, but yeah, they wrong too. So women, stop doing this. Stop doing this. There's the women that this actually happens to, and we don't need to be out here falsely accusing folks, because you know what I say. If you falsely accuse somebody of that, you should get the same amount of time that a person who actually did that would get. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to smash that like button, comment, share, subscribe to my channel, hit all notifications so that you can always be alerted of new content. Remember to check me out on X, Instagram, and TikTok as ChatWithMeLindaB. You can also email me, chatwithmelindab@gmail.com. And I also have a new podcast, The Linda B Show. We talk about everything, cultural, religious, relationships, whatever's trending at the time. And I have at least another person, but a lot of times I have several people on the call, and we get involved in very intellectually stimulating conversation. You guys got to check it out. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You all be blessed. Love God, your families, these United States of America, and march on, warriors.